specific. He wants to go into the details. He says that it's all right, I can see that I'm touching my nature called happiness, all right. But how do you say that nature of happiness is nothing but peace of mind? This is where that the Upanishad asks us to look at these two aspects of it. 1 minute before you fall asleep, 1 minute after you fall asleep, if you look at it. Before you fall asleep, you are lying down comfortably on the bed, covering yourself, closing your eyes, and every activity has just stopped. And then after you fall asleep, exactly the same status quo continues. And the activity aspect, if you take within you, the blood circulation is going on, respiration is going on, and if there is a little food, digestion process is going on. All these things are going on 1 minute before you fall asleep, and after 1 minute the fall asleep, also the same processes continue. It looks amazing that the activity is exactly the same before and after. Activity is the same. Non-activity is also the same before and after. But then sleep makes such a big difference. And that's where Upanishad wants us to look at. The only one difference before you fall asleep and after you fall asleep is that your mind, which is active before, has become silenced. You don't worry about anything once you fall asleep, and that mind quietening alone is the cause for the experience of happiness. And this is what Upanishad says. Look at what happens to your mind. The mother becomes no more a mother the moment she goes to sleep. Mata amata bhavati, pita apita bhavati. The moment you go to sleep, there's no more activity of the mind, worries, anxieties, disturbances, imaginations of the mind. In the case of father, mother, anybody for that matter, mind becomes quiet the moment you go to sleep. A researcher so consciously caught up in the research, the moment he goes to sleep, everything is forgotten, the mind has become quiet. That alone is a state of happiness. Esasya paramanandaha. Not only that, that peaceful state of mind is rejuvenating, creates health to you. Esosya parama samvitu. So now, with this experience, we can see that one single point for our experience of happiness is mind becoming quiet. And now the question comes, if the sleep is that way, rejuvenating and happiness giving, then why don't we recommend sleep? Two problems. One is the sleep is not in our hands. When we want, it does not come. When we don't want, the sleep happens. Like driving on the highway, you don't want to sleep, but sleep comes. Yoga is a conscious process of quietening the mind. That way, when you practice yoga, you try to find the happiness within you. That is why in the case of Sanskrit, we have two different words for happiness. One is the happiness that we get with interaction with the world outside. That's an experience, which is a pleasure. And another, which is ananda, which means it is not the happiness that you get from the world object outside, but it is your own inner experience called happiness. Once you realize this, that inner experience is happiness, look at the big change that occurs. Today, the amount of plundering that we are doing in the nature's wealth is for the sake of happiness. Better object, more competition with the object outside, people think that gives us happiness. And that notion correction will change the whole man's approach towards nature. In fact, the way that Indian philosophy talks that you are custodian of the nature, they never said that you are the enjoyer of the nature. And that is transformation is something which is very good for the ecology movement today that we are doing. Essentially, the moment that we know that happiness does not come from outside, happiness is our nature, then we don't run behind the world outside for the sake of happiness.
Good. Actually, I remember a saying which says like this: when I got to know the answer to one of a question, they changed the question. I can relate it here, meaning when I chase something and I try to get there, right? Maybe my attitude changed or my vision changed, my what I thought will give me happiness also changed, the perception changed.
Right.
So
now, based on this, now once we think that the objective world outside gives me happiness when this wrong notion is there. Then we think right choice of the object gives me happiness. If the choice is not right, it does not give me happiness. So we would like to look for more and more number of choices, and we get caught up in these choices. We get caught up in these choices. We keep going one after the other. This is better than that, that's better than this. So like this, our whole approach is something like going chasing what is the right kind of choice that we require. And I've seen people going to the supermarket, and then look for a particular kind of a soap or an object or something like that, and keep searching all the aisles. I look at them, you just take one thing, that is fine. We think choices are absolute. This choice is right, this is not right. This is okay, this is not okay. We just get caught up in these choices. Now, what yoga says is that, what is the absoluteness about choices? They are not absolute. In fact, when we did not have so many choices, we were very happy. We didn't have much of complications in the life at all. Whereas today, with all those choices, we have become so caught up in those things. We think that is my choice is absolute. Like even in the rural back in India, the normal cases in the normal houses, that there is people take it very easy without any difficulty. Like they say the coffee, and just they make coffee and give it to everybody. And these days, because of some diabetes and something like that, we know either sugar-free coffee or with sugar. These are the only two things that we have, and that also can be simply managed. Whereas, look at the way that we have number of choices. Do you have coffee or tea? Do you have coffee with decaf or regular coffee?
With milk, without milk, and also the other thing is about 2% fat or vitamin D, or low-fat milk, or fat-free, half-half. Like
Right.
America's land of choices, as they say. Yeah.
So what yoga says is that choice is not the freedom. In fact, because there are too many choices, we get caught up in the choices. Can we go for the freedom from the choices itself? In fact, our mind is so accommodative. If we train it, mind is so accommodative, does not get perturbed, agitated, disturbed. If there are no choices, if there is something that is given, fine, it is like that. And we narrow down ourselves to a particular way, particular thing like that. I see in families, there is a lot of agitation, disturbances, and angers that come up because that the kind of choice that I want is not there. This is the way that we think of.
Thank you.